Welcome to the IBM OMEGAMON Db2 Performance Expert on COS, short OMPE training session. Today I want to focus on monitoring CICS Db2 transactions using the capability to launch from OMEGAMON for CICS into OMPE forwards and backwards. I will also quickly demonstrate how OMPE is launching other Db2 performance tools for diving deeper into SQL level monitoring. My name is Norbert Jenninger. I was working over 20 years in the Db2 performance monitoring area. First, I will give just a short overview about the Db2 for COS performance monitoring ecosystem. Then I will concentrate on the integration between OMEGAMON for CICS and OMPE. Finally, I will show how you can extend OMPE application monitoring with diving deeper into IBM's specialized SQL level performance tools. This slide shows how OMPE is embedded and integrated into IBM's monitoring ecosystem. OMPE is sharing the same infrastructure with the rest of the OMEGAMON family, so it allows easy navigation across OMEGAMON monitoring components, for example OMEGAMON for CICS to OMPE and vice versa. The navigation between OMEGAMON CICS and OMPE is supported for still running CICS Db2 threads, but also for recently finished transactions in the monitoring historical view. OMPE is also integrated with two other IBM Db2 performance tools, the IBM Db2 Query Monitor and the IBM SQL Performance Analyzer. IBM's Db2 Query Monitor is a dedicated SQL level monitor, and it allows to dive deeper into SQL execution as well as object level usage. The Db2 SQL Performance Analyzer can be launched from OMPE for explain and cost estimation from any panel where an SQL statement text is displayed. OMPE can audit either as a standalone product or as part of a suite or a solution pack. We will discuss here the navigation and integration capability in Enhanced 3270 UI between OMPE and OMEGAMON for CICS monitor. We can show OMPE Db2 related data on the OMEGAMON for CICS workspaces or show CICS related monitoring data on the OMPE workspace. This allows us to easily click on this data and navigate context sensitive to the other monitoring component workspace. You can think of two major scenarios. One for active and still running application transactions, and one for the historical perspective. While the historical review is the more likely used one, because of usually very short running CICS transactions. There's also one navigation capability for very long running applications, where you might want to know why it's running so long, looping, waiting, engaged in concurrency logs, or just experiencing bad SQL access paths. Let me now start a video where I first show the first scenario followed by the second scenario, in both directions, CICS to Db2 and vice versa. But before I start the demo, I want to point out the two PDFs on this slide, which are required for OMEGAMON CICS and for OMPE. The first part of my video will deal with the active still running transactions shown in the OMEGAMON for CICS. Here it will be a long running transaction for which we will review what happens within the Db2 thread details. We will start with the Enhanced 3270 UI and select the CICS tab, entering into the all active CICS plex, where we select one of the CICS plex, here RS01. Then we will select the CICS region CICS00, on which my sample CICS transaction will run. In the middle sub-window, highest CPU task, the current running transactions are displayed. I am now starting my CICS transaction CIDB, which will quickly become the transaction with the highest CPU consumption in red because of running expensive SQL queries within Db2. To see what is going on, I click on Transaction CIDB. The connection details to Db2 can be found via the I/O tab. On the bottom of this I/O tab screen, OMEGAMON CICS shows the Db2 related matrix and data retrieved from OMPE. You can now click on I9A2, the Db2 subsystem ID, for example, to navigate into the OMPE monitor. A menu allows you to select where to step into OMPE, log conflict, SQL text, or just thread accounting. Select here with an S. In the middle of the workspace, OMPE shows selected OMEGAMON CICS matrix. On top, there are various detailed tabs on this Db2 thread, like the currently executed SQL statement. The explain tab EXP allows to invoke explain on the SQL statement. We will see this later. The class read tab will show us all kind of wait time situations. For example, wait for I/O, wait for logs, etc. The PE buffer pool tab shows us how many get pages, I/O, etc. happened so far, as well as the hit ratio for found pages within the buffer pool. With PF3 we will leave OMPE and return to the OMEGAMON for CICS panel. Again, with PF3 we close the CICS detail and return to the CICS region overview. The transaction CIDB finished in the meantime. With multiple PF3 I will finish my first part of my demo. Now my next demo part will show the perspective starting with OMPE thread summary, again still for running CICS application. Enter a T in front of the Db2 subsystem to open the thread summary on Active Thread tab. If there are too many threads, you can also filter for CICS threads only going to the CICS tab. I'm now starting my CS transaction in the background. Here my CS transaction plan CICS Db2 PE shows up. I will also see the thread in the Active Thread tab. For both tabs I can zoom into the active thread details with various tabs for more detail. So for example, let's have a look to the SQL statement text, or look at any class 3 wait times. In the middle of the workspace there are a view of OMEGAMON CICS matrix displayed, from where you can navigate to the related OMEGAMON for CICS transaction task or region details. Here you can see the CICS transaction CIDB again. We can zoom in and go to the I/O tab, from where you can navigate to OMPE, as we have seen in the first part, just closing the navigation circle. Let's go back with a couple of PF3. As already mentioned before, in most cases you wasn't able to review the dependencies between CICS and Db2 for a specific CICS transaction in real time. For example, it was running too fast or navigation capability wasn't possible. Therefore, I will show you how the CICS and Db2 navigation in their historical data view is working. We will start first with CICS history summary and navigate into the OMPE thread history. We start again in OMEGAMON for CICS, selecting the CICS blocks and the CICS region, with an O option for CICS task history summary. Here we can see our CICS transaction CIDB with CPU time highlighted in red. Double click on the I/O tab will lead us to the connection details with the wait times. On the bottom of the workspace you can find the Db2 times sub-window, from where you can navigate into the OMPE thread history details for the Db2 thread executed at that time. The OMPE thread history also has several tabs, and it has in the middle of the workspace the sub-window with the OMEGAMON for CICS history metric. With PF3 you can come back to OMEGAMON for CICS. Let's close and go to OMPE. Here we will show how you can navigate from OMPE thread history into the CICS task history for the specific finished Db2 thread. Open now the OMPE thread history with the option R. You may first define some filters, time ranges, show me only threads with counters greater than a value, or even any thread ID or connection ID. Click OK. In the resulting list I can find my CICS transaction plan name. Select and double click on one of them to open the thread history details. If it is a CICS transaction, it will show in the middle of the sub-window the related CICS metric. Click on the CICS transaction ID to navigate into the CICS history details for the exact task number. The I/O tab will show again on the bottom of the screen the Db2 matrix from where you can circle back into OMPE. With this, I will closing the CICS Db2 live demo. There exists also a launch capability from OMPE thread detail display into specific IBM Db2 Query Monitor Enhanced 3270 UI workspaces for the currently running SQL statement. There is a sub-window SQL activity details which you might have seen already in my former CICS Db2 demo, means this works also for CICS transactions real-time display. Let's start another CICS transaction. Zoom into thread details and click on Active SQL Count. It will open the Db2 Query Monitor panel KQQ with information retrieved from Query Monitor. Db2 Query Monitor provides you with details of SQL text, accessed objects, host variables, but it also allows to cancel the thread out of Query Monitor. You can further zoom in to get a couple for tabs for those objects, the SQL statement text host variables, if there are any. With PF3 you can return back to OMPE. The other IBM Db2 tool is Db2 SQL Performance Analyzer, which can be launched each time an SQL statement text is shown on the Enhanced 3270 UI or the classic VTAM panel. If invoked, it starts and executes an SQL Performance Analyzer explain and cost estimate batch job, which can be reviewed in detail from the main menu using the option V. Let's select the SQL tab to see the SQL statement text. Besides the SQL there is the Explain tab, EXP. If you click on EXP tab, it will take the SQL statement and launch Db2 SQL Performance Analyzer for running an explain report in the background. A message will display us the report number here 21. To review the explain report, go back to the subsystem window and use option V. It will show all exception reports. Here we can see report number 21. Just click on it to open the SQL Performance Analyzer Explain report again with different category tabs. Scroll down to read the access path Explain report. Queue limit tab shows which of the user-defined query limits were exceeded. The Queue Trace tab shows the access path and other estimated processing steps within varied detail. Finally, the SysPrint tab shows a summary of estimated times and costs in the user-defined currency. With this, I will conclude my short video. Thank you for your interest. Feel free to contact us if you want to get more information.